Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you so much for being live with us. Thursday, October the 5th, 8:41 p.m. Thank you for being live with us. A fantastic win by the Orlando City Lions. I will say one of the best wins. I think it would say the one of the most important wins in the year for sure. It's against Nashville. I think Orlando. We'll talk about the form of Orlando City, but more than likely, I think I just want to give huge praise to Oscar Pareja and their staff on how they turned around the boat completely, 360 degrees. This squad is like ready to hunt for the MLS Cup. So we are all in, Papi in, right? Papi in, all in, right there. Orlando City, the whole fan base. And then I want to commend every single person that loves soccer in the United States that lives in Orlando, come to Explorer Stadium this weekend against New England because the boys are going to need it. Is our last home game after obviously we hit the playoffs, right? We'll see how playoffs. Hopefully, we have a playoff here and there at Exploria, but it's our last home game. We need to definitely show the boys that we're definitely ready to support them and be that 12th man. And we're actually getting some clam chowder on Saturday. We are. This New England team is very diminished. It's not the same New England team we faced in the past. Orlando has a huge opportunity to definitely capitalize in the first half, at least be up 2 or 3 goals, and then just cruise control. Maybe see some Thomas Williams on the lineup. Maybe even see some Junior Urso for a whole second half. So I think it'll be great for our depth. And we asked that question to Oscar Pareja on press conference. We said, how about that depth that you have now? Since you arrived in Orlando City, you have, I think, the most depth. And he said, you know what? I feel confident that anyone that comes from the bench is gonna definitely know now how do we want to play and knows our rival in and out. So I think we found the sauce, right? We found the Michael Jordan's secret juice, right? Like in Space Jam, right? So I think that's fantastic news for Orlando City. John's with me. I want to give hello to Paola as well. I know that she's a little busy today, but we'll definitely miss her. She'll be back next week. John, how are you, my friend? A fantastic win against tough rival, Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. I mean, I feel like for some reason we struggle against these teams who wear yellow. Like Columbus, we had a problem with
Yeah.
Columbus. Like I don't know, our record against them is not great, and our record against Nashville is, I think, probably like our worst record on like head to head, or one of them up there. It just seemed like that team, there was the Open Cup. We managed to beat them on penalties, but outside of that, they seemed to have our number. We just couldn't like beat them. We got a lot of draws or losses to them. If you look back to way back to 2020 was the last time we beat Nashville outside, well, actually in MLS, I believe. So, and that's the year they came in. So they've been causing us problems for a while. So it was great to get that win, and great to get the win in their house, because earlier in the year in April they came into town and took, points away from us in our house. So we replied and get that win. So it was good to see. And the boys, it played well. They they didn't play very attractive soccer, Luis, and we do play very attractive soccer, right? We play beautiful sort of tiki taka style, and they were playing sort of. I was texting my dad about it, and we were both thinking that they played like Stoke did when they were in the Premier League, just kind of horrible long ball, like no build up play, just
Run.
hit it to
Leave
the
the long
fast
ball
guy or the
run.
big guy up top, and like try and get the ball down to Hani, and so I was like, this is kind of ugly from Nashville. It's not pretty. And what we were doing, like we always are, is a bit of lots of passes, lots of movement off the ball, using our wingers, our creativity, everything revolving around the 10. I thought Mauricio had a good and bad game. He had some moments where he looked good, but other times where he could have done better. But all in all, like a solid performance for us, especially defensively. Nashville got a lot of assets like Pico and Courage, big guy up top. Hani Mukhtar, obviously. Keeping those three guys out from scoring at all was massive. Pedro obviously came up with some good saves. Janssen, I think, just had an incredible match, right? I think Janssen, this is probably one of his best games of the season. And he's not slowing down, and he's handling all these games really well, which is great to see. And this was probably his best game so far. So all in all, just another great away win. Like, who are we, Luis? We're this team that seems to keep going and getting away wins at places that are like really hard to get points. Like we went to, you know, Cincinnati and got points at a place that no one else had, and now we've gone to Nashville and taken points in a place where I would not 100% on the stats, but if I'd have to guess, it's pretty difficult to get some points.
And that's what Oscar said. He said that he's built a group that understands the games, they understand the teams that they face. So when they rotate, it really doesn't matter who comes in and out. They feel very confident. They feel now very confident that they know, those kids are coming into the pitch. They know how to continue pushing forward and maintain us in the game. So I think he's found the secret sauce, because you mentioned it on the last pod. Ojeda probably being a starter, right? Giving Angulo a rest. And that's exactly what he did. He switched Torres to the left, and he looked even more dangerous because, like, I don't know, but these three guys were just switching places. Not so much Pereira, but at least Ojeda and Torres was switching wings tremendously. It was really confusing, the back line from Nashville. And then I'm going to say the back line for Orlando had a massive, massive game against Nashville. I think, to me, Santos played a 10 out of 10 game. Rodrigo Schlegel, incredible. But, I'll be honest with you, we need to see more of him in this level, right? Now, because we've seen not so good Rodrigo Schlegel sometimes going for the balls, for the long balls. We've seen Rodrigo Schlegel being outpowered, right? Outrun. Right. So in this case, he completely saved Orlando from almost a draw. Right. And also Kyle Smith, the welcome back Kyle Smith. Dagodan took a breather. He had some minutes in the second half, but I felt like he was pretty spot on defensively as well. So depth, my friends. And then it was not only that, it was also Antonio Carlos is back. Right? Antonio Carlos is going to be back, and which, I think is going to be fantastic having a whole squad pretty much healthy, right? This is how Nashville lined up, and I'll be honest with you, they were playing horribly, and I believe this organization, which is a really good organization, I'm not going to talk trash about them. I think they're a great organization. I believe they are putting too much of a baggage on Hani Mukhtar, and we understand that. We understand that he's definitely a fantastic player, but you can have a horrible nine like Saric and Fafa Picault and expect greatness from Godoy, and you're also on the back line. Yesterday, Maher and Lovitz were completely trash. Zimmerman was just like, oh my god, like this is insane. So I think they need to boost this team if they really don't want to slip down and maybe hopefully not make playoffs next year. Because they look really not the Nashville that we know about.
Oh, they lost Villarreal, and that was more impactful than they realized. Sam Sturridge is not a replacement for Zerda. Like, he's a different kind of player. They've gone for a different direction. Also, I think that, to have probably the best 10 in the league or up there, and one of the best center backs in the league, and to be where they are, like, imagine if we had a guy like Walker Zimmerman in our team. Or God, like we have a Papi who's close to Hani Mukhtar, but he hasn't hit the numbers that Hani Mukhtar has hit in the last 3 or 4 years. So arguably they got two of the best guys in positions in the whole league, and to be down in 7th, with the other assets they have. I think just they've been riding on those coattails of doing that defensive style, like sort of, counter attacking, very direct football for a long time. And I think it's sort of everyone's figured it out now, and they know how to play against Nashville, and Oscar's figured it out too, and he knows what to do. And did you see their coach was complaining in the press conference afterwards about us time wasting, which I
Well,
find very ironic because earlier in the year they did that to us to take a 1-0 victory or
I
whatever
mean,
it
everyone
was
in
when they
soccer
won.
does this.
Yeah, like it's Nashville love like a Papi special. They'll do the same thing that we did. Go to
Yeah,
a
I
team, get
mean,
one up, and sit. Like so, it's hypocritical.
yeah, everyone in soccer does it, and if they're not used to that, then I mean, honestly, like, it's okay. I mean, I know that Galese is a pro at that, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Anthony Solis, he says, "Thank you. Good win for Orlando. Not easy beating the best defensive team in the league away. There you go." Jim D, welcome back, Jim D. Where you been, my friend? Have you been lost? Are you coming back home? Ben aquí. Ben aquí. No, I'm just kidding. Jim D, for the most part, OC was in full control of that match. It looked like we were playing keep away, and they hardly touched the ball. It says, not to mention, Schlegel had 3 outstanding matches. Completely agree. Yeah. We're playing like I mean, this is going to sound weird, but like a more like a South American, like, like heavy press. Everyone was pressing the ball. I was really, 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 really impressed with how Duncan McGuire's stamina, my friend. Like, this guy doesn't get tired. I mean, he was running behind Mukhtar, and he's the number 9. He's supposed to be a little bit, kind of like do what Kara was doing in the beginning of the season, right? In that position that he has, he could definitely do that. I mean, you never saw at Stoke, Peter Crouch running, running, trying to press a guy in the in the mid box, right? I mean, you never did. So, I mean, every single player in that team was just playing defensively very good. So I think that definitely made huge strides, because we're going to be playing some of those teams from the West that are going to be complicated, like maybe St. Louis. Hopefully not. But I believe that was that. And let's talk a little bit about Duncan McGuire, because Duncan McGuire and Orlando City and their strikers and the rookie strikers, right? Kyle Aaron, Daryl DK, and now Duncan McGuire scored his 12th goal across all competitions, his 10th of the regular season. And McGuire became the 5th player in the MLS history to score at least 10 regular season goals in the year that they were drafted out of college. So the year they were drafted, 10 goals. Like, I mean, and not only that, he was making passes, he was pressing, he was defending, he was going back and forth. Outstanding performance with Duncan McGuire. Did you scream when he scored, John?
I did a bit, yeah. I just jumped off my feet on the couch, but yeah, he was. It was sort of one of those like, how has he done that sort of thing? So it's like, oh, he can't score. Like it was seemingly one of those. If you try and put it in the near post, the keeper will make the easy save, but he just put it so perfectly on the post, and it came that the keeper, just didn't know what to do, and it all happened so quickly. It was such a beautiful finish from him, and another example of him not giving up on the play, right? And like you said, several times in this game, he came way back and made tackles in midfield.
No, I completely agree. I think he was phenomenal. I think he's having you said it right. Have him score once, he's gonna go hot again. So we're hoping that against New England, will we see a hat trick? I mean, if we see a hat trick from Duncan McGuire, he should be Rookie of the Year. I mean, if he doesn't get Rookie of the Year, and we'll talk about
I
the
mean,
awards in just a second.
if
But
Duncan scores a hat trick in playoffs, Paula's gonna lose it. She's gonna lose it. She won't know what to do. I mean, she wants to see a hat trick anyway, but if we see a hat trick from, a rookie player, like that's, I don't know how many rookies have scored hat tricks. in their
No,
first season, right? Like that's got to be a rare feat. But like you said, he's already breaking records, and there's 2 games left in the season, and I think really they can't not give it to him. I would be annoyed if they didn't give him Rookie of the Year
no,
based on the stats that he's putting out.
I agree with you. And honestly, I'm going to say this. Not only just him and his wonderful performance, but Martin Ojeda. I mean, Martin Ojeda, in my opinion, he's the glorified super sub that we have, right? Um, Super sub because he started in this game, but usually he comes off as a sub, and he performs very well coming as a sub. So I think Oscar has him as jack of all trades type of game, type of player. He collected his 10th assist of the year on the Duncan finish, which is tied for the team lead alongside Mauricio Pereira. So right now, each one of those players right now, there's 20 assists between both of them, right there. Those two right there,
I
amazing.
mean that I knew that in other years Mauricio would be getting that number or more, right, in assists because he was that main guy for us. And when Ojeda came in, I thought, okay, great, he's going to contribute with goals. But it's really turned out that his main contribution has been assists, right? Like you said, I mean, he's turned into a guy who just seems to always be doing the right thing and making the pass perfectly, like he did for Duncan last night, and setting guys up. And that's how he ends up with less time on the field than Mauricio, I imagine, right? I'll have to check the stats on that, but he's on almost level because he's so effective at getting those amazing passes and putting guys into positions where they can put the ball in the back of the net.
An amazing game also by El Pulpo, Pedro Galese, Pedro Galese, right?
Master of the dark arts.
Amazing. I mean, you tweeted, I think that he was doing some dark arts, right? And if you want to go dive into that real quick, that was good. That was a good tweet.
I just did something funny. You gotta pull up. I'll show you. I
Yeah, I'm
just
gonna
like
pull it up right
funny.
now. Hold on, let me see. Let me look you up.
To be honest with you, I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, which is a D&D based, video game. And so I just think my world of video games and soccer collided, and I thought about this hilarious moment that happened in the game last night. So I came up with this funny little tweet about Pedro trying to, the ref trying to like get Pedro to speed up play, and Pedro casting a spell of dark arts back on him somehow. I don't know what happened there, Luis, because the camera was so situated on Pedro, and then the ball was like back on the field, but the ref had gone to go see him and tell him use this ball. So the ref like screwed himself, and Pedro like just cheekily stood there and was like, "Well, if you tell me to use this ball, and I'm just gonna leave the other one over there." And then he was like, "Go, go," and he was like, "I can't go. The other ball's on the field." Like, and then the guy had to go get it, and that was like another 45 seconds at least. I think, maybe 30 to 45 seconds. So it's just another example of Pedro. He has this amazing ability to take the slowest goalkeeper kicks of all time. Like he just does everything. Like I'll take good 10 seconds to do this action, then another 10 seconds to do this action. And that one just really made me chuckle. And I think it was just entertaining to watch the ref try to speed things up, and it backfired entirely and end up taking more time. Were you laughing at home at that situation? I hope you were.
No, of course. I mean, it's pro. I mean, all we got to do is either cry or laugh, my friend. And I just still say we should not have this type of officiating or such rookie referees refereeing a World Cup. We will be the joke because now FIFA, and I'm going to add it real quick. And I know people from South America that speak English are also listen to the show and watch the show. But it's a disgrace what they're doing with the World Cup now. It's so many teams now. Number one, it lowers the level of play, in my opinion. Number two, now they're going to be doing 2030. They're going to start the World Cup. the preliminary. So the first matches of the World Cup is going to be in Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina, and then they're going to take the World Cup to Spain, Morocco, and 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 Portugal. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What happened with just having one country, or maybe okay, two, Korea, Japan, 2002, and blah blah blah. Okay, two. America, United States doing three with Mexico and Canada. Okay, but all right, I take three. Then you in Uruguay. Then do it in Facundo's hometown. Why doing all of this? I think they're killing it.
I
I
think
think
they
there's.
want a payout from multiple
I
countries,
think
right?
they're
That's what
just.
it
I
is.
think they're
They're saying
just.
like we're bringing economic revenue to this country, and they get a
They
share.
should just honestly just do it in Uruguay because it's the 100th World Cup, and the first World Cup was in Uruguay in 1930.
Yeah,
1930 something. So they should
it's
just do it
something
in
they've, like you
Uruguay.
said, they've started to trend into doing, splitting the nations to get
It's
it. And
ridiculous.
some nations like just genuinely don't have enough like major stadiums.
Exactly.
So like that I understand,
Yeah.
but like some of these countries are well-established soccer nations in
Yeah.
South
Uruguay,
America that
Argentina.
have a
Yeah.
lot of major stadiums with big teams.
Uh,
So, I think even the one 2024, like why isn't it just in the US or just in Mexico or just in Canada?
well,
Why do we need
America.
to be all of
The
North
U.S.
America? They're doing it where they're like spreading it around in a continent each time.
It's ridiculous. Like they want to.
It's
It's like they
yeah.
want to do what the UN doesn't do, which is unite the nations. You know
Yeah,
what I
like
mean?
if you want to move around continents, that's fine. Just pick one nation in each continent each time. Like it's not, you don't.
I just
I
honestly,
think the inclusionism is too much. It's like we don't. And
not
there's also
every.
some nations that like, sorry, but you don't deserve to host the World Cup. Like if
Yeah,
there's a
like right
nation
now, for
that's not
example, like
prepared
yeah,
to
look
because of
look my
political
own country.
situations or whatever else or monetary situations, yeah, economically, like you
Yeah,
gotta you
yeah,
gotta host the World Cup somewhere
it's
that's stable enough to
safe
handle it.
and safe for everybody,
Yeah,
right? And
so
right,
there's questions over, it's happened before, like what happened with the Olympics in Russia, or like there you go
exactly.
back. There's a huge amount of history of the Olympics and World Cups and all sorts of sporting events being held in countries that were in some kind of turmoil or on state of unrest at the time, and it backfiring. So it's just
No, same with same. I
FIFA
mean,
have been making a lot of questionable decisions for many
yeah,
years now.
like they're making it too complicated. I know that the United States bid for 2022, and that backfired. I know President Obama even went to the when they picked the actual World Cup host, and then he was like, "What, Qatar? No, come on, man." He pulled a
Yeah,
Stephen A. Smith. Qatar all of a sudden, without not one single stadium
yeah.
built, somehow they got the World Cup in 2022.
Well,
That's weird.
they used a lot of cheap workers out of Southeast Asia, and like over thousands of people
Right.
died building the Qatar. Like, I love the World Cup, but we shouldn't. No one should be dying building
Exactly. No
stadiums. Like
one.
that's just ridiculous.
So
So
so that's a different story.
I think it should travel around the world for sure, but we just have to be going to places that are
That are
structurally able to
prepared. That are
hold it
prepared
and
for
take
the
the infrastructure and everything that goes
exactly.
along with it. It's a massive,
I
massive
agree.
event.
I
And you
agree.
saw in Qatar, like also there's a lot of issues like there. You have issues socially, right? With some of the
Exactly.
problems of the way that they live their lives very
The way
differently
they
from the
treat
Western
women.
world. And I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
the World Cup is a Western sport event. Like it is. It's from the Western powers that mainly play in it. So, having it in something like an Eastern nation like Qatar would cause a lot of problems culturally. And so it's going to be more issues if you kind of start sending it to more and more obscure countries that
Well,
aren't prepared.
let's dive in back into the show real quick. Let's read some comments. This is Gol de Boca. Oh, yeah. So it's a semifinal of Copa Libertadores. Boca Juniors is beating 1-0 Palmeiras. So former Antonio Carlos playing Palmeiras. It's his
Mm.
former team. Jim D, I don't have Tuesdays off anymore. I work super early, so I usually only watch about half an hour of the live podcast these days and listen to the recorded versions later. I'm getting old, I guess. No, no, thank you, Jim D. I was joking. I
Hey,
was
we're all getting old, man.
yeah, I know. We all got things to do and totally understand. But aside of the dark arts of Pedro Galese, I will say we definitely have to feel very proud as fellow Orlando City and also Selección Peruana, people that are from Peru. I mean, the MLS put this out yesterday, and thank you to MLS Communications for providing all that information to me. Orlando City, after winning 1-0 on the road tonight, Pedro Galese became the first goalkeeper in Orlando City history to produce 10 clean sheets in a single season. And again, and I'm going to reiterate, because I got a lot of slack when I think it was a season or two ago. I said, hey, why isn't he the best? Why is he nominated at the, why is this guy from New England, now he's in Arsenal? Why is this guy from New England like the keeper of the year? He's really not all that. No, the stats, the stats. I'm like, you got a guy that like Pedro. He's excelling in his national team, excelling in his home club. Like, it's a no brainer, right? But no, I mean, I think this year he has the stats now. I think he has the stats, he has the numbers, and he has um, the great performances that he does in his home country and the great performances he does with Orlando City. I mean, every game there is a massive Pedro Galese save. And shout out after shout out. So 10 clean sheets in a single season. What are your thoughts regarding that, John? I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's had another, it's Pedro's certain amount of reliability now that we've known for years, where he's able just to churn out a lot of big results. I mean, he doesn't always, he's not saving everything every game, but like 8 or 9 times out of 10, he's there making those big saves. So in this league, that's enough to put you in one of the top goalkeepers for sure. And I was looking at the stats on sort of like the amount of saves that we concede versus like the amount of saves. So I think also because our defense is better, some of these other goalkeepers, their stats are being boosted by the fact that their defense isn't that great in front of them. So they're having to make a lot of saves. Like Pedro this year hasn't had to make as many saves, I think, because we've been very defensively solid. But when he has to, he's stepped up. Like 9 times out of 10, he's been there and some incredible stops. And also, there's just the intelligence to slow down the ball when he needs to, and the dark art stuff. And he's always a leader. He's always got a smile on his face. Like for what we pay him, Luis, or what he's eating out of our salary cap, I think you couldn't ask for any more from a keeper, really. Like unless you're going to go out and go for like a Berkey or something like St. Louis have, where you go and spend like DP money on a keeper. Pedro is, for this level, like one of the best, and I think he should be considered for goalkeeper of the year. He's in the awards. We'll talk about that. They released all of the different nominees, and Pedro is in there for goalkeeper of the year. I think probably his main competition is probably guys like Berkey, and who's the national goalkeeper? I forget the name of him.
Blake
Willis. No, that's the Philly goalkeeper. Andre Blake was out for a long time. Usually he would be up there, but he was out for a long time. So I think maybe Steve Clark, but Houston haven't had. I'm just looking at who else is high on the clean sheets. I put a tweet out about this earlier today. Saves per match. New England are way up there on saves per match. Like we're not in the top 8 on saves per match, whereas Berkey is up there in the top 2 of saves per match because St. Louis are defensively, not that great. So he's having to make more saves than Pedro is per game. But, our records are pretty equal. So that's the kind of stuff they'll take into account when they do, goalkeeper of the year. But I think if he gets a couple more clean sheets with these last 2 games, and that'll equal everybody else, right? If these guys don't manage to get clean sheets, so he could possibly win that Golden Glove award, which is separate from goalkeeper of the year. Golden Glove, I believe, just goes to the guy with the most clean sheets.
I want to say that Pedro Galese needs to stay in the MLS. As a fellow Peruvian, as a fellow as a Orlando City, I cover Orlando City for over 3 seasons now. I will say that he needs to stay in the MLS. Don't make the same mistake as Collins. Don't make the same mistake as Renato Tapia, my friend. If you're listening, you're watching, because with this in Peru, they sell the illusion that in Europe, this is where you need to go, to Europe, right? So you sign with just any small team from Spain that it's really non-relevant. And then the first bad game you have, they bench you. And then you don't come back out of the bench. And that's what happened to Collins. You know where he ended up, John? Alexander Collins, after being a top 3 center back in the league, he ended up in Greece. Being loaned. Yep, being loaned to AEK in Athens. He cannot play the Europa League because he's not been. He can only play the Greek league, so he cannot even play Europa. He wasn't signed up. He came too late to the party. So it is pretty sad that how you can go from here in the MLS being a top 3. Now, obviously, it's a league that's developing. Obviously, we're not going to compare it to Europe, but we're making huge strides every year. Pedro, don't make the same mistake, my friend. You have everything here, right? And I'm sure the club is gonna, if he wins goalkeeper of the year, that's big paycheck in my opinion, in my book. I mean, and I think he well deserved that. I think the whole fan base is gonna agree with that. And it is what it is. And I think sooner than later, he'll be well regarded here. He's going to be part of history of this club. What if Orlando wins his first MLS Cup and Pedro is a goalkeeper? I mean, he'll be cemented in club history forever. You know what I mean? So just I tell this to every single.
I think he already is, right? I feel like Andy Solis says, like, let's say there in the comments, is a club legend. I feel, obviously, like we talked about, Miguel is the goalkeeper of the USL era, and Pedro is the goalkeeper of the MLS era. Like, no one else, I think will be remembered from this first part of our MLS history when we look back than Pedro and goal.
Totally agree. And cherry on the cake right here, my friends, team of the match day. With and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get a lot of slack for it. What a cold-chested striker. I don't know why he's Dennis Bouanga. How do you miss those goals against Inter, my friend, man? If Carlos Vela wanted to eat him alive. But anyways, he's right there. Sudursky, Gold again, 2 weeks back-to-back, Ryan Gold. And Christian Roldan, Daniel Gazdag, Sheridan Shaqiri, the most expensive player in the MLS before Messi.
The Lego man beat the Miami squad.
That's right. Former Stoke City legend, right?
I was going to tell you that about Sam Sarge, who was playing for Nashville. He also played for Stoke at one point.
Frankie Amaya, Matty Atkinson, Malty Atkinson. And look at that. One former Lion and one current Lion.
Can we convince Richie Araya to come back, play right back for us? Like, come on, dude. Like, you went to Toronto. They, like, messed you around. You went to Nottingham Forest. You got promoted. You didn't. They said you're not good for the Premier League. He got booted back to Toronto. Then somehow he's now playing for Vancouver.
Which is horrible. It's sad.
The only team that really ever loved you was Orlando City, Richie. Come back.
Richie, come back.
Not that I don't love Dagger Dan at right back and Mikey Halliday, but like next season, if we're shopping for a right back, let's put Richie a nice offer and be like, come on, because imagine that. Like, he's such a dynamic right back. he would kill it
Imagine
with
him
him
and
and
Angulo.
Santos. Like
Oh,
that's a cheap option there of a guy that like knows the team, knows the club. If we were like go after him for some TAM or monopoly money, whatever you want to throw at Vancouver, we'll take anything probably because they're desperate.
yeah,
Say, hey, come back to the sunshine, get out of this horrible Canadian snow and get back down here, Richie, because we need a top quality right back. And it amazes me that a guy like him has been bounced around the league and no
correct.
one
I agree
sees
with
his
you
value.
wholeheartedly.
Like if I was Toronto, I never would have let him go. Like we went to Europe, I get that, but why when he came back did they not? I don't know. I think he tried to get out of there because they're such a mess.
Yeah, and I would say then Robin Jansen, phenomenal. I think our
Oh, Nick
our
says he gets
rock
paid 1.2 million. Oh, it
what
must have been big payday from Vancouver.
1.2 million.
Still, I mean, if we can make it work, I'd get him in for
Well,
that.
I mean,
He's top
honestly,
quality.
if you wanna, honestly, if Orlando gets far in the playoffs, which I'm sure they will, I'm gonna say this right now,
Like if we
October
can make it
5th.
in the cap, we can afford it.
Yeah, October 5th, 9:17 p.m. Orlando City. Yeah, I said it. It's gonna make it far in the playoffs. Right now, I'm saying it. And okay, if I eat my words, I eat my words. But 1.2 million, it's like nothing in the soccer world. I'm sorry. There are rookies that get paid 1.2 million, and I think if this team, if this squad, if this organization wants to make it, I think next season, after we prove that we can definitely win the big one, we definitely need to open the wallet. We're not going to be the less what's it called, the less invested MLS team in the whole league, right? I mean, they invested, I think, the least. So you know, so so
Yeah, I mean it's we will be opening like we are. What is it? I think third from bottom in our wage overall total wages. And so what we're doing with the amount we're paying out compared to some of the other teams, Luis, is like value for money wise. Oscar's doing a lot with less than some of these other clubs.
hmm, there you go.
Another
So
reason they should renew his contract.
no, I agree. I think they should renew it. I think they should renew it. So I mean, honestly, it's gonna be great to have him back. And then look at that in the bottom, Duncan McGuire, Orlando bench. So we got two Lions in this team of the match day. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah, I mean
So
we continue to go from strength to strength right now. I think we were a bit worried about how we would do against Nashville. And now I think we got a lot of confidence going into New England because of that Nashville result.
that's right. That's right. So let's read some comments real quick here. It says here, Gales is a club legend. Richie gets paid 1.2 million. Zero shot, guys. LOL. That was a deft for Toronto that gave him that shite contract. LOL. That's max time DP player. Richie ain't worth it. What rookie gets paid 1.2 million? I would say some of the rookies from Barcelona. That kid Yamil, the new one, the 16-year-old, he gets paid 80,000 euros a month. I mean, if you get paid 80,000 euros a month, it's a pretty big payday if you're a rookie, huh? Yeah, so I mean, if you want to make money, you got to invest, man. 1.2 million. There's players in South America that cost 1.2 million. They're not even at the level of Richie Larea. So, they maintain him. Do you believe that Chicago's coach should have been in the in the coach? I would say Oscar would have been in the coach discussion at least in this week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any of these weeks where he goes and wins aways, at
Is it because he
places
beat
which
Inter?
other Is that why? Because it was, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
that's
Chicago
why
beat Inter.
Frank Vasquez,
Unbelievable, man.
because
The
he
league.
finally got Shaqiri to score a goal, so they were like, "Hey, that deserves," you know. But
Yeah.
it's fine because when Oscar wins Coach of the Year, it won't matter.
And talk about a 4-1 win by Chicago Fire. Huh? 4-1 win. Unbelievable. Against Inter Miami. Of all teams, right? The league's darling. I think they deserved it.
So I looked up Richie Ray, and according to what I could find, last year he was on 1.17 per year from 2022 salary from Toronto, but then that apparently his contract ends, like he's on loan right now to Vancouver. His contract ends from them at the end of this season, so he'll probably be a free agent come January. So maybe we can poach him away, or maybe Vancouver will sign him up. I don't know, but
I
it's
mean,
definitely
I think
an
it's a great
interesting
signing.
situation.
I mean, Nick Swearingen can have his own views, but he, in
Oh
the
no,
end,
yeah, I agree. I just was interested to see how much he was actually getting paid.
I mean, I would love to bring him back. I mean, it's better to, he plays for the Canadian national team, for crying out loud. I mean, people in Orlando praise Adrian Winter, for crying out loud. Freaking, they make him like a freaking statue outside of Explorer Stadium.
Oh
Every,
yeah,
huh.
we should bring
Yeah,
him back to just
right. They
to
should bring
help
him back.
Seb coach
We should
Pride.
do a
Not even
documentary about
play.
Adrian Winter.
Just bring him back so we can have him around and wave at him and
Carlos
see him on
Rivas
the
too.
concourse.
Forever a Lion.
No, Carlos Rivas is not welcome in the stadium. Carlos Rivas could go on the roof and go get all the balls that he kicked up
These
there.
people.
That's what he can do if he comes to the stadium.
I'm trying to put the actual image of. Wait, I should have used my mouse. Hold on. Here you go. Now I can drag it out. Perfect. I'm just trying to get the actual nominees. There you go. The actual nominees right here, so we can talk about that. And there you go. So this is what the club has submitted, right? So for this, Sigi Schmidt, MLS Coach of the Year, Oscar Pareja. Nick Swearingen says he's
Well,
gonna
this is
make the
what
Pat
MLS has
Noonan
submitted with from Orlando City
from
candidates. Like
Orlando
obviously,
City.
there's a whole list of Coach of
Mm-hmm.
the Year. Oscar's just been named as one of the candidates or nominees.
Duncan McGuire, Young Player of the Year. I think if he scores a couple of more goals, I think he should win that. Defender of the Year, Robin Jensen, Antonio Carlos. I don't think Antonio's going to get it. It's just my opinion. I think Robin
I
could
was
win.
surprised to see Antonio in there, man. He's not
Yeah,
played enough. Like any of these guys who get nominated who only played like 10, 20 games, it's not enough.
Robin Jensen. I think he. Robin Jensen. I think he's definitely one of the top defenders in the MLS. I don't know if he's gonna make it though. I think they always favor, you know, probably somebody that probably won't support a shield and things like that.
I mean, Coach of the Year, like also the amount of nominees is just kind of ridiculous.
Do you have
Like
the whole list?
Coach of the Yeah, I'll
Can,
send
can you
it to
can you
you.
can you share it?
Yeah, here you go.
And
I'll
then
send it to
I'll.
you. It's kind of ridiculous, man. It's almost like I don't count them all, but it looks like it's like every freaking team in the league. You know,
There you
I
go. There you
don't.
go.
Why have such a long? It doesn't make any sense to me. The MLS Comeback Player of the Year, that's a little bit short of a list. I think Robin Janssen could win that one. I could see that. Maybe like Miles Robinson is up there on that list.
All right.
I got someone
So
who has to come
so we're
back
starting
from
for coach, right?
like
Coach.
Alan Polito. Maybe could win that one.
So
You got guys like Brad Guzan on the MLS
Bradley Carnell.
Comeback Player of the Year. How can you have a Comeback Player of the Year who's 40 years old?
So Bradley Carnell, St. Louis. I'll say he'll be a good competition for Oscar.
Yeah, I think St. Louis will be and arguably so, right?
Did
You
they
know, the
nominated
first year
everyone?
that squad, everyone was like, you can't do it, and the fact that they've done that well with building a team that way without DPS like that is deserving of recognition. So I wouldn't be mad if he won it over Oscar.
Yeah, for me, it's gonna be honestly. I mean, I'm looking at this
Could also be Pat Noonan from
look.
Cincy.
I'm looking at this list, and I'm gonna tell you who's I think is gonna go into like maybe a last, like another category. So Bradley Cornell, I think.
Well, yeah, they dwindled this down. I hope, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the day of, and they're
Look, it's
reading
gonna
out all
be
these nominees.
like my picks will be Bradley Cornell, Pat Noonan, for sure, Oscar, and you look the league. In my opinion, what they're gonna do is they're gonna be like, well, he did a great comeback story. Gerardo Martino for Miami. Those four are gonna go. I feel
I'm
like
expecting one of these,
oh, maybe Ben Olsen because of
like two or
Houston.
three of these awards to
Maybe
go to
Ben Olsen
Miami.
because of
Like, I think
Houston.
Rookie of the Year, they're gonna give it to like Hermansky over Duncan or something ridiculous like that, and be like, "Oh, he learned how to play with Messi so quickly."
Who? Well, Kremansky.
Hermansky, yeah, like that's the kind of thing I could see them doing,
No, they gotta
giving
give
it
it
to
to
him
Duncan.
over Duncan, like
Yeah, but
for some
Duncan has the
ridiculous reason.
goals. There's a difference. Duncan has the
Hey,
goals.
I totally agree. I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of MLS thing they would do is give it to a Miami player just because they want to talk about Miami.
So Comic of the player nominees. Who's
Like,
Orlando's
how
Robin
is Kamal
Jensen?
Miller in Defender of the Year nomination? How
Because
any of these
he
defenders,
just
if
resigned
you're defending for a team that isn't in the playoff position right now, you're
because he
officially not
just
allowed to be in my opinion, for Defender of the
because he
Year.
just resigned with Inter, man.
It's just ridiculous. This list is outrageous, and you got teams in here that are not defensively solid at all. So why are we even talking about them as being a Defender of the Year? That's ridiculous.
I think Orlando has a huge opportunity to win the young player of the year with with Duncan McGuire because he has the goals. And I will say also coach of the year, even though probably he won't get it. Like I agree kind of with Nick because the Supporters Shield coach maybe is going to win it, which is Pat Noonan. So, defender of the year. How is Jack Elliott in there? How's Shaq Moore in there? Well, anyways, goalkeeper of the year. There you go, guys. Have you seen this, John? Are you there?
Yeah, I think goalkeeper of the year is interesting. Again, I think Berkey. It's the kind of thing where they give it to Drake Calendar or something stupid like that, you know. Just
Why is
because it's
Calendar there?
Miami. Why it looks like I haven't counted these, but like I said, it looks like there's a guy from every team. Is this just submit who you want from your team? Submit your first team goalkeeper to
This is ridiculous.
the goalkeeper of the year nominee? Like, I don't understand what who's making, like, is it coming from not fan
Freaking
votes?
Brad
I know
Guzan.
that. Determined voting groups, current MLS players, MLS coaches, and media.
Well,
They're going to vote on October 10th and finish voting on October 23rd.
So I'll probably get the ping in on.
You might get a vote on this, Luis. But
well,
they've seemingly
whoever for Pedro, 110%.
Whoever collected the pool of names collected too big a pool of names. If you ask me, like, this is just stupid.
Definitely, Callender's not gonna get it. Callender's where I rinse my broccoli. I said it on the last pot. And then Landon Donovan, MLS MVP. Here we go. So Berkey is nominated in MVP and also goalkeeper of the year. Ricky Puig, he's not gonna get it. That's for sure. You know who's gonna get it, right? Muchacho.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who's gonna get it?
Nah. He must not be named.
Yeah.
Old Pethy himself.
Lionel
Yeah.
Messi.
I mean,
Lionel.
they were probably hoping he'd score enough goals where they could give him the golden boot. That was probably what
Of
he's
course.
decided to. He's decided to go on holiday, like vacation, early this season. He's like, nah.
I would be surprised
He's
if he
like, we're
can
not
go
gonna
in
make
there.
playoffs. We're done with these cups. I'm just gonna chill.
Yeah. How has Christian been been taking here, man? That's crazy.
It's just
Wow.
throw whatever
Well,
name you want in there.
Dagger Dan is in the newcomer of the year too,
I,
alongside Rafa Santos.
like,
I
why
think
is there nothing for D mids? There's like no midfielder of the year. Like, there's nothing for Cesar or
or
Wilder to
Wilder
win. Like, why? It's all like the
defender.
only MVPs are just going to be attacking mids. Like, you're going to be like tens and strikers. Like,
Because they have this
that's who wins MVP every year. So
impact award.
yeah, but that's not. I'm talking about like where's the defensive mid? Like, where's the midfielder? Not a defender. You're not a striker, or winger.
Hmm.
There's nothing for
Look,
those guys to
MLS
win.
referee of the year. We have a Orlando City favorite, Ted Uncle.
You notice how few nominees there are for the referees compared to the players.
That's because the
They're like, well,
referee.
we really tried to find three guys we thought maybe were just about good enough to win an
Wow.
award.
Wow. Anyways, you know, the name of our episode today is Papi and right, and again, in this um in this particular post press conference, Oscar Pereja was not asked about his future, right? Um, we have a comment right here from Talant. Rich is getting paid more than Facu Torres, says Nick. Talant Coca. You guys resign Oscar now or wait till what happens after the playoffs? And then we can talk about that other question about Rodrigo.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we talked about before, it's just Oscar. Oscar, he's not focusing on that right now. The club doesn't seem to want to do it right now. So, I think we just wait. And I think that's fine. I'm thinking Oscar is very happy here. I don't get the vibe like he wants to leave. Like, I think, like we talked about, he's built a whole system here from the ground up. Like, when his model is here from the first team into the OCB, into the U23s and down through the academy. And we're getting these guys moving up the ladder, and everybody wants to play for Oscar at the top of that ladder, right? And he's got the boys all bought in. And I think with some improvements next season to the squad, add a few guys here, fix a few guys there, then there's absolutely no reason why we can't be doing even better. And we need Oscar around to do that. So, I think we'll renew him come the off season. It's just a case of both parties seem happy to wait. So we'll wait it out.
I believe that if you ask me if they should resign him now or wait till what happens after playoffs, I think they should resign him now. To me,
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
mean,
it. I mean,
I think the time was like a month ago, Luis. Now it is like a distraction. You know what I mean? Like, I
yeah,
almost don't want to now. Wait
yeah, of
now.
course. I mean, so what happens if he wins the cup and then they'll resign them? There's a possibility he may say, hey, look, you had all this time to resign me and you didn't, and now you're resigning me because of I won the cup.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
you would hope
I
not,
don't know,
right? You would hope not.
right. So
It's a
he
certain amount
could
of
do
risk.
right, he
There is a
could do
certain amount
that.
of
I mean, he
risk
could
the
do
way
that,
we're
right?
doing it. I agree. I would have once we turned the corner in the summer, and there was that period where it really looked like we were going to kick on and become a top four, like about 2 months ago. I would have pulled the trigger then. And
So,
I think the longer you wait now, it's almost like now you have to wait till the end of the season because you're gonna you know,
Disrupt. Yeah, it's
yeah, you
disrupting.
disrupt our flow and everything.
Of
And Oscar
course.
said
I
himself, I
agree
don't want to focus on
wholeheartedly.
it right now. So you're almost like being annoying to Oscar by trying to get him to sign a contract right now. But
Yes.
there was a
But
period, Luis, by the end of the season, obviously before his contract actually expires, like the actual dates at the end of the year, I imagine. But I think it's still, it's risky. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I think he's happy here, even if we win MLS Cup. I don't think he's going anywhere. But it is a certain element of you've left yourself exposed. And some people will say they're happy that they haven't renewed right now because they want to see what happens in the playoffs, which I understand if that's your argument. Like I get that. If you're one of these I want results people who only sees it acceptable that we win
we're
something every
Chelsea. We're
year,
Chelsea.
then that's fine. That's who you are. I'm not that person. So for me, I look at the whole season. I look at where we
Same here.
are on the season, and I look at like the points and all of these things. We've had a better year than we ever have, right? So for me, I see progress. I'm happy with the team. I'm happy with the way we play. I think it's exciting soccer. I think the fans are coming back to the stadium. I think we're on an up. Like that's all you can hope for with your club is you're either going up or you're going down. That's it. Your trajectory is up or you're down, and we're on the up right now. And Oscar's a huge part of that, obviously. So I wanted to stay for that reason. I think he will be renewed, and I think regardless, for me personally, whatever happens, even if we knock on wood, even if we go out in the first round, I'm not. I would never. Like at this point, I don't think I would feel that Oscar shouldn't be here next year. There's nothing now at this point in the season that would make me change my mind about wanting to renew him and have him here next year. If we don't have him in next year, Luis, we got to start all again with figuring everything out. Like we're in a good place now with the manager and the squad. We just need to improve it a little bit and go again with these same tactics and the same team. That's how you build. It's all about a 2 or 3 year project. You're never going to do anything in one season. That's not how
But
managers think.
Atlanta
They're
did it. Atlanta did it.
Atlanta
Atlanta
did
did
it,
it.
right? Yeah, Atlanta did it. I mean, obviously there are some examples, but I'm talking about Oscar's plan was
Right,
not a
right.
1 year
Well,
plan,
I'm
right?
just exaggerating because that's how
Yeah,
some
when he
people
came
sound
in, he was planning
online.
for 3 or 4 years, and now we're seeing the fruits of that labor. Like it's been growing year on year on year, and this year might be our big year. It might not. All you got to do then is roll again for the next year with the same plan, maybe improve it a little bit, maybe tweak some things. You don't need to throw it all out and start over. I don't think that's necessary. Other people will say differently, which is their
Look,
opinion.
yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I feel like it would be great for the boys, because this could be. It's not like I know Oscar, but I've been around Oscar, and he seems like a very triple C type of guy, cool, calm, and collective. You know what I mean? All of this could be handled backstage, number one. And also, this could be used as a great PR stunt. And how better to send Orlando City to his first playoff game with his coach renewed? You know what I mean? And putting a huge display, Papi in 2024. You know what I mean? You're selling it, right? Number one is a win win for the fan base. Now, you have to understand that, you know, Orlando has had, I think, this year one of the most successful runs in the MLS. I think we have to say this is one of the most successful runs in the MLS. Now, in the beginning of the year, you know, people started, doing trying to do Civil War like the Avengers, right? Papi in, Papi out, right? And now, obviously, I think it's been demonstrated by soccer, by the playability of the team, by Oscar, that it took a little while to get the gears going, but in the end, it's paying off dividends. Correct, the investments and the moves, the front office. There's not always going to be a perfect front office move, but I think they have done a good job, a great job, I would say. We have Jared, and with relations with the fans and things has improved tremendously, right? so to a point that he has to slap a couple of them on the wrist for talking so much trash, right? You know, and 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 again, for the people that were Papi out, before, eventually, guys, I mean, it is part of it's Hakuna Matata. People in the fan base are gonna say, "Hey, weren't you, kind of like in the Bible, right? Like kind of like, weren't you the guy who set Papi out like 4 months ago? You know, and you're gonna have to just say, yeah, you know what, I had to change your heart, but I'm Orlando City through and through, baby. They're not gonna bother you anymore. They're gonna welcome you with open arms because we're one big family. But if you are gonna act like a victim, it's not gonna play out very well for you. I'm just saying it because I've seen it online. So, so I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for everyone in the Orlando City community to be united and gear for the voice of what's coming in 2024. And not only that, the most successful season run in the MLS, which has been this year's, and for what comes out into playoffs, and really up for Oscar. Now, if the club does not renew him and he decides to part ways, I know he will always be a huge part of history in this club, and it's okay. That's the decision has been made. It's going to be respected. You cannot agree with it, but that's fine. Things happen. But no one, and I have a feeling, I work in HR, so I kind of have a sixth sense. I have a feeling that if he's no longer part of Orlando City, people are going to start coming out saying, oh, you see, my sources were right. Brr. No one knows what's going to happen in the front office. No one knows what's going to happen. No one has the inside scoop. And whoever is telling you that has the inside scoop is wrong, man. I'm just being completely honest. You have to just support. And I feel like this team is in such high. We need to continue that high as a fan base, And we've done I think everyone in the club has done a tremendous job this year, from backstage, from the boys, from even journalists, people that are in the press box. They have a phenomenal job covering the team this year. And I think we're coming into the end of the season in which it's do or die, and we don't need this nonsense, right? I just feel like we don't need this nonsense, and I think that would be a great opportunity for the club to just put a stop to it and just say, hey, you know what? He may be staying, he may not be staying, and in the end, is their decision, right, John?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We don't know what the Wolves feel about the situation. I would assume they're happy. Like we said last pod, they were at the game for the last win on Saturday at home. So I think they're happy. I think it's just a case of matter of time. Also, like you're bringing up the comment here from Jeffrey O about if not Oscar, then who? I think a lot of people are quick to name like other international coaches from like
Thierry Henry,
Europe or like that kind of name, or like Tite that gets thrown around. And
Chichi,
my
Chichi,
my my big thing is
Chichi.
you need guys who understand MLS. It's such a unique league, so it's not proven that you just come in with a European coach or a South American coach and he's instantly able to make your team better. I think often people are like think that a new coach will instantly make the team better. It's not always the case. Sometimes you go backwards if you try and move out of one coach to another. You think you can get something better. And Oscar, I really think is one of the best coaches in MLS. He's proven that through the stats over the years. And I think this year he's changed his style where if he was still playing, every win like a 1-0 Oscar Papi special, even myself would be like, like I've had enough of watching
and
this.
we were
Like,
critical.
I'm down.
We were critical. I mean, I think
Of course.
we were.
Like I
I mean, and
understand
we said
people's
it.
argument of it's boring soccer when it was, but this year it's changed. It's significantly changed, and I think there you can't make that argument right this season. So I see the growth that he's made, and I believe that therefore he is able to keep up with the other MLS coaches in the league and is one of the best for us and shown this year is second. I mean, would you have said earlier in the season, Luis? We said that third or fourth we'd be delighted with. I'm
We're
still
second.
amazed that we're probably going to end up in second. Like most likely, unless we really slip up here against New England, which are in free fall, and Toronto, which should be an easy 3 points, we should end up in second, which is the best that we've ever done. So
In the
if
MLS.
that's not good enough to renew Oscar, I don't know what, I guess people want even more.
And I'm going to take it from John because he said it. You evaluate a manager's renewal based on the whole season, not just if you win or lose. Because each game in the playoffs is a final, essentially. Each game in the playoffs is a finals, do or die. And now Jeffrey O asked, if not Papi, then who? I don't know the next manager on the free agent list, to be honest, the next best prospect. I will tell you what I would like. I can only tell you what I would like. I personally, Luis Carlos Pineda, I would like someone that knows the league. Because it is a tough league to play, the scheduling, the back and forth, some of the, and I think I would find somebody that has experience in the league, that's able to communicate and speak two languages mainly, right? Because if you get, and with all due respect, you get Chiche, Corinthians, right? Brazilian national team. No doubt he's a fantastic manager, but he speaks Portuguese a little bit more. And if he's taking some English classes, great, but it's not the same, my friend. It's not the same. You don't translate the same. And you're not gonna be with a translator your whole freaking 90-minute match giving orders with a translator. It doesn't make any sense, right? So it has to be somebody that is able to get used to the league. And I would like someone, if that's the case, I would really focus on that type of manager, and I will open the wallet to get like 4 big or 3 really good DPs that are like names. Like that would be just me, and keep the core of this team. That would be what I would like. Now, then again, I don't know what John likes.
Well, I would also say if you look at what happened in the last few years with these MLS guys that are similar to Oscar, like the likes of, Caleb Porter and Bruce
Right.
Arena, for example, this year, like Oscar was in that era, and a
Uh-huh.
lot of them are like not able to be effective in the league like they used to be.
Right.
And Oscar has managed to maintain that win rate at the height that he has. It's like over 50% or something. So I'm sorry, wait, listen, now like 30%. So he's done really, really well. And I think if you're looking at MLS experience, there's not necessarily a huge amount of guys on the market that I would want to go for. I think if I was going to bring in another manager who wasn't Oscar and I wanted MLS experience, you've got to go steal one away from another MLS team that's doing really well at the moment. And that's difficult to do. Yeah, right. Like, but do you want to, is Pat
He's not
Noonan
gonna leave.
want to live
He won't
Cincy?
leave
Like,
Cincy.
probably not, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like how Columbus did and stole Wilfred Nancy away from Montreal. That I could understand, but who we would go and get and where and whether they would be able to be as successful as Oscar has been.
Right. You can compare Europe with US. You cannot compare South America to US. US is on its own. You guys understand that? We have a different schedule,
The
different
away travel in
geography.
itself is a whole different
Yeah.
beast.
So look, you can bring Frankie Lampard. I love Frankie Lampard. I think he's a phenomenal player. I like. I'm a huge Chelsea fan too, and I will love for Frankie Lampard to be a coach in the MLS. But we've seen what happened with Wayne Rooney as a coach in the latter years in his career. Not too good. I mean, he doesn't. It's a different league. It doesn't guarantee you success just to bring. Like, look at Miami. The last coach of Miami was a successful coach too in England, I believe, right? Too, and a successful player playing for Man U. So, right? And look at that. You know what I mean? So it's a league on its own, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know who's still just kicking around without a job?
Who?
Jesse Marsh.
Oh, well, there you go. That could be an option.
I
He
mean,
fits.
if he's done with his European experiment, I wouldn't say no. I mean, some people might not like the idea of Jesse Marsh, but I think he did
I don't
very
mind
well in
Jesse Marsh.
Europe. I think he would He obviously knows MLS, his time playing in the league, etc. So I think he would be a guy who could end up becoming a very good MLS coach. And if you were to be the team who brought him back here, you'd probably end up with you know, a very good
Correct.
manager on your hands at this level. Like, if you can't coach Leeds in the Premier League, doesn't mean you can't coach in MLS. Like the guy did very well in Germany, etc. So that's the
Well,
kind of person I would look to go for.
no, I'm gonna say also a theory, right? If let's say Orlando goes for the South American dream and they go and get Tite, right? They got a big name like South American, well-regarded coach, or somebody like a big name in soccer. Um, that will mean that there will be a Messi-like transfer. That's the only, you're gonna try to imitate what Inter's doing. Get a prolific GM with a prolific coach, and then partner it up with a prolific player. Do we need that right now? Have we built that right now? Are we in that position to do that? Or do we have a base? We have youth. We have a culture. Like, are we going to throw all of that away? Or we're going to build upon the cement, that like the house that we have, like the first floor? Are we going to build the second floor, or we're going to just knock it all down and start over? Because that's exactly, in my opinion, what you're going to do. I mean, if you're going to get a prolific coach, like let's say Hernan Crespo, right? Or Jorge Sampaoli, for people that speak Spanish. Sampaoli playing OM, right? Marseille. He's been kicked out from every league. You're going to bring him over. That means you're going to have to sign has come with a prolific GM. He's going to be able to communicate with him, change things behind the scenes for this coach to thrive. And then that's going to mean that a big name is going to come. Like you're talking about a Neymar, somebody, maybe because it's Sampaoli, maybe somebody from Argentina, a big name, because otherwise, why making that? Because we already have youth. Look at OCB. Great season 2 for OCB.
I mean, I think that fourth DP, that third DP spot, and potentially a fourth that there's been rumored that so we could add two DPs in the summer. I think it's way more effective if we add them directly into Oscar's system and say these are the gaps we want to plug, right? And then that's just a case of adding not as big a change that we did in this last offseason, right? Which won't take as long for the new guys to gel in as it did this year. That's how you build on this for next season. I think if you start again without Oscar, it's whatever you do, you're going back to, zero. And there's also a real, danger that we lose
some players.
Facu, right? For example, I think I think Facu potentially, I think we talked about AC, potentially not being here next year. So there will have to be some turnover and some change, but you hope that you can keep the majority of the squad together and kind of roll this, good form and this season's success into next season. That's what you're aiming to do. Maybe we'll win the MLS Cup this year, and then it won't matter what we do in the offseason because we would have just won the MLS Cup, and we'll say, hey, we're the reigning champs.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. If Orlando City wins the MLS Cup, which I'm going to say this, we have a good chance. And there's nothing wrong to say that we have a good chance.
I mean, when the league's pundits start saying we have a good chance, that's what I was like, wait a minute.
So,
Are you talking about us winning the MLS Cup?
Yeah, we have a good chance. And there's nothing wrong to say we have a good chance. And I say this too, if they're listening, that's fine. But, like, I mean, open the wallet, my friend. I mean, if you're gonna win the MLS Cup, you're gonna if you want it, you have to win it again. That's the mentality, right? You're not gonna just bottom down. I mean, I don't expect, for example, Cincy winning the Supporter Shield and then bottoming down next year. They're playing Conca champions. I see them making big moves maybe this offseason too. So I'm just saying, guys. Justin Barliski, I want to say hello to Justin. Thank you so much for joining, my friend. Do you think it's more likely or less likely that Facu's back next year? It depends a lot of what happens in the season here, you know.
I think the thing that helps us if it's like it's a lot of money for European teams to spend on him
Right.
in January.
Uh-huh.
Like if it was, I think that's the difference, right? I think it's more he could go in January, but then I think if he doesn't go in January, it's even more likely that he goes next summer. If he does, he's going in one of those windows. Do you see it that way?
I agree with you.
Like if he doesn't go in January, he's going next summer. I think pretty much
Plus,
for sure. Like in his plan, this was the stepping stone club, and he needs to go to Europe within the next couple of years if he wants to be able to have a career there.
he's gonna have to start in a team. I mean, he could easily play in a team like maybe Newcastle, Brighton.
They got the Ajax rumor. I think that would be. I think if he
Ajax
goes to
would
the
be
Premier
great.
League, he's going to struggle, Luis. I think he doesn't have the physicality. He doesn't have that other
I agree.
foot. Like he's a good player for like the Italian league or the French league, but I don't think he'll be able to do it in the Premier League. Sad to say.
The Ajax rumor could be true. If it is, then wish him the best. It will always be a lion, and like John said, this was a stepping stone club. But honestly, I think that he's also gonna see what's the best deal for him and his family, right? So it's all also comes to
Yeah, I mean that's what I hope for him is that he doesn't, like the Arsenal thing is cool, but I would
but
worry that he's just going to go and sit on the bench and not really
he's gonna be
play and
loaned.
get lost in that, get loaned to like a championship club or get loaned out to Europe somewhere else. And if he wants to do that for a couple seasons, but I don't. He's like we said, he's not going to go and get in the Arsenal lineup. Like it's not going to happen. There's too many good attacking midfielders. So I think it's better for him to go somewhere because we like Facu like that. If he's going to leave, I want him to be successful in Europe, and it's more likely for him to do that. It's like like a Europa League club, right? That's what he needs to be. He needs to be somewhere that he's going to get European football consistently in a team where he's not having to compete for
Exactly. I agree.
And I think he knows that, right?
Yeah.
Like he came to Orlando City knowing that he was going to be one of our top players, and I think he wants that probably for his next move as well.
Correct. We're going to do the lineup for New England. I do want to say that Google is favoring us for us to win the game 55% to 22%. So we have the up and up according to Google.
Well, New England they're struggling, man. They're
they lost against Columbus 2-1.
Yeah, they obviously everything that happened with Bruce Arena, and now they've got their interim coach. Did they actually replace him officially, or were they just like we'll ride it out with the interim for the rest of the season?
I'm not quite sure about that. I'll be honest with you.
I have to look.
I've not been following New England, but I mean they still have a couple of good players, and look, you have Dejuan Jones. He was a starter. They also have, I think their center back duo. It's really weak. Farrell and Romney. I think they're dwindling down. Then they have Mark Anthony Kay. I mean he's always pretty consistent. They have Carlos Hill, and to me they have two players that are pretty interesting. One that used to play with Rodrigo Schlegel, Chancalay, former Racing Club player, and also Brioni, right? So they have some. It's a team that it's really maybe not star-studded, maybe not doesn't have the consistency or the or the level that we do. But I mean, they have to me a very dynamic player that if you give him a lot of space, he's gonna punish you, which is Carlos Hill. My opinion, he still has it. So let's do the lineup real quick. Obviously, a goal, Pedro Galese. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I do.
Would you keep Kyle, or would you keep Kyle, or would you bring back Dagger? In my opinion,
I think Dagger's coming back.
I think Dagger's coming back as well.
I think it was smart to put
Yes.
Kyle in for the New England game because they're so
No, for
aggressive down
Nashville.
those wings, and we needed his extra defensive ability. But also, you've rested Dagger, so now Dagger's fresh and ready to go for this home game.
Now, this is a question Justin Barlitzky was saying in on Facebook. Now, do you think that we're gonna pick Schlegel or AC? Because AC is back. So, would you put back your official star-studded center back duo, AC and Robin, or would you start Schlegel?
Like a month ago, I was like waiting for AC to come back. Now I think after these last 3 games, Schlegel is improved significantly in lots of ways. I think he's not making those mistakes, and we've seen like 3 good games in a row from him, especially last game. I feel like he was everywhere, and he hasn't made those same silly mistakes in the last 3 games that cost us goals. So I think he's going to stay in, and I also think that the Toronto game is the perfect game to bring AC back for. I think it'll be Schlegel starting, AC off the bench again, probably like the 60th, or get him a little bit more time for Antonio on the field, but just building Antonio's fitness for him to start the Toronto game, which will be perfect because to get him a one full 90-minute game before we go into playoffs, which will most likely see a combination of Antonio and Janssen. I don't think Schlegel is keeping his spot. I just think that he's keeping it for one more game. What do you think?
Well, in the beginning, I said, he's back. He's been nominated. With
that's
Jansen.
just like really not like it just shows you how bad those nominations
I just
are.
said in the beginning,
AC,
right?
like
In the beginning,
even us were like, why is AC on this list?
right? Nah, I'm just kidding. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we need to. I mean, look, it took him so long to get back in shape. We need him for the playoffs. We already know we're in the playoffs. We are not gonna win if we rush him right away. We're not. We have more to lose if we rush him.
I don't think we need him for this game. Schlegel was playing badly the last 3-4 games, but he isn't like he's playing very well. And I also think that New England just aren't looking that threatening, right? Like if we're desperately needing the points in this game, I would push for him, but there's no need.
I think he's gonna have some minutes, like you said, maybe minute 65. Put him back in, but in having some minutes with the boys. But I believe Schlegel is going to start this game with Robin Jansen, right? And that's going to be a center back too. I think that's the safest. You know why? Because what if you rush him? Then you have maybe Brioni, the number 9 for New England. He falls weird, twists something. We're out of our a star-studded center back duo in the playoffs. We gotta be smart. Now that we have the depth, just like Oscar said, no matter who's on the bench is gonna perform the level that I want. He's confident.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I think that goes with Schlegel having the starting spot against New England, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about that, John.
I agree. Yeah, he gets this game, and then AC in for Toronto.
Yeah, and then you put AC where he needs to be in the playoff game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would start him, like I said, for Toronto because I think he needs to get a full 90 before the playoffs, but he doesn't need to be playing a full 90 in this one. Maybe they'll start AC and just bring him off at halftime. Like, that's fine too. I'm good with that. If we want to get him more minutes, you want to start him and take him off early. That's good too. I don't see Antonio playing a full 90 anytime, for this game at least.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, um, I honestly, I feel like, we have so much depth. I think we can make, and we're in the end part of the regular season. I think we can take him out for a little bit, have him fully recover, and then go all out in the playoffs. And I think that's, he's deserved that too, because he's played some monster seasons before. You know, since he arrived, he's pretty much been a starter, nonstop. So I think he also would like that. So Schlegel, Jensen, and Rafael Santos. I mean, Santos is. I mean, what a year of Santos, my friend. What a year. It started kind of like, you remember. I remember the first episodes. You and I, John, were like, "Man, Santos. I don't know where they got him from." I'm like, "You see, that's what you mean. You
Well, he was
signed."
nominated newcomer of the year, right? So
Yeah, newcomer of the year, and then the double pivot. Right? What about the double pivot, my friend? We're the double pivot city. Paint the double pivot purple,
the
right?
double pivot, that's where it's at.
Double pivot is where it's at. I tell people from Peru that's what the Peruvian team needs to do and be playing the double pivot. They're like, no man, you're playing too defensively. That's where Cartagena is excelling. Double pivot. So the double pivot, my friend. We are taking names of the double pivot. Uh, I will keep Wilder and Cesar, you know. And then if we are up maybe 1 or 2 goals, maybe bring in Felipe at that point, right? It's a possibility. You have to give people some rest,
I
right?
mean, yeah, it's you got so many options, right? I think Oscar will probably put Angulo back in. I think
Yep. I think he's
I
gonna
think it'll
put.
be back to the lineup that we had last Saturday at home.
Mhm.
I think he just changed things for Nashville because it was a very specific match, and I think Angulo was tired more than anything, and he wanted to. I think maybe Oscar saw that he wasn't playing his best, and perhaps that was he thought because he was tired, so he rested him. So I can see, going back to like you got on the screen there, Pedro, Dagerdan, Schlegel, Jansen, Antonio Santos, the double pivot, Mauricio, Angulo on the left, Facu on the right, and Duncan up top. I think that's most likely what we'll see from this game. Would you have anything different than that? I mean, do you think Ojeda is?
Yes,
I
I was
mean,
gonna.
he could stay in that spot. It could
Who
happen.
who is an important player for Orlando City that if he gets injured, we're like, oh man, I don't know. Mauri. I think Mauricio, the captain, I think he's being very important in very important games. Maybe not in this last one, but because he's inconsistent, I will have to say, but when it comes playoff time, I mean, he's that guy who sparks the fire, right? Especially, so we need him to be on point. And I think in this game, because we're facing an inferior competition right now, which is New England right now, we're facing a team that's falling down like Alicia Keys falling. They keep up falling down, right? So we could maybe have, in my opinion, and this is just, I am nobody here, but I will put maybe Ojeda here, or even better, put Facu in the mid and put Ojeda right here, and see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then these three could keep switching places, driving people crazy.
I mean, I think it's just Mauricio, like is Oscar's boy, right? So we've seen that he trusts Mauricio to play that 10 more than anybody else. I
Of
don't think
course.
Oscar likes anybody in the 10 apart from we saw Junior Urso came on, but he wasn't really
Oh, he's been
playing. He came
sloppy a
on
little
as like
bit.
another 8, really. Like he could come on and play the 10 at that point in the Nashville game. So I think if anybody's playing the 10, it's Mauricio. I agree though. I would do it the other way. I would put Ojeda there. I think Ojeda is the guy now. Yeah, that's what I would do. I think Other people would argue don't drop Mauricio because it's going to change things too much. I can see that, but I would just say that you know there's a lot of passes he doesn't make for a guy who's supposed to be the creative passer in the teams. There's a lot that he gives away, and every time he does, that's possession back to the other team, high up the field, right? So I know we're having to recover and get back. So that's the only thing about Mauricio, and I feel like he's had better games recently, but it goes up and down. It's so inconsistent. Do you feel that way about him? Like, is some weeks he's there, and other weeks I'm just like, what are you doing
Yeah, I
today?
just think it's the wear. I think it's the wear and thread. That's
Yeah, I
just.
think I think that's the thing. We have to
And
manage
I
his
think now that
minutes,
we have the
and
depth,
I'd rather not play a tired Mauricio if he's not going to play well.
right. I mean, we're playing. I mean, look, we're playing at home. It's gonna be a beautiful. All the fans are gonna be screaming. They're gonna be the 12th man's gonna be there. It's our last home game of the regular season. I feel like we're already clinched. Let's put let's try these guys out. Maybe make it try a different lineup here and there. I think we could take the liberty of doing that now. We beat the toughest rival out of the three last games, which is Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, I think Oscar, like we said, he just wants those points now. So
Of course.
I think he's not going to do anything to like rotate to make us
Yeah, yeah,
weaker in
yeah.
his eyes. But also, he, like you said, he's quite happy to change anybody in, and he doesn't see it as us getting weaker. So I would think the argument is there for Ojeda to stay in the lineup. Personally, I think you look at how many assists he has. He's got as many as Facu. So if you
Yes.
can find a way to keep Facu and Ojeda, it's not so much getting Mauricio out of there. It's just having Ojeda and Facu are two DPs. Like that's what it comes down to. They're our two best attackers. So
That's
they
right. I
both
agree.
on the field.
So are
So
we
so
are we
much
staying with this
weaker.
lineup, or are you switching it to Mauricio?
I mean, it depends. We're doing if it's Oscar or it's Mauricio. If it's us, I would go with that. Put Ojeda
If
in that
it's us, I
position.
will go with this.
Yeah, I agree.
And if it's Oscar,
Yeah.
if it's us, it'll be Galese, Dagger, Schlegel, Jensen, Santos, Cesar, and Wilder. And the three in the middle, Angulo on the left, Ojeda in the middle, Facundo on the right, and then up top, Duncan McGuire. And then if it was Oscar, right, we would have Galese as your goalkeeper, Dagger Den, Schlegel, Jensen, Santos, Cesar Wilder, Facu, Mauri, and then Ivan Angulo on the left. And then right up top, you'll have Duncan McGuire.
I
So,
think the nice thing about if you play Angulo, Ojeda, and Faku is it doesn't really matter which one is in the 10, right? Because you can kind of rotate, like they all able to play and rotate and move around a bit more freely. Where Mauricio's in there, he just sticks to the middle of the park. Like he's just in the center of the field. You don't see Mauricio wandering out to the wing to go, dribble up the wing like Angulo or Faku or Ojeda. So with those three and that combo that we said, you have a lot of options for them to be able to change position. And like we've seen, Oscar likes to do that because it throws the defense off. Taking Faku from the right wing to the left wing creates problems for the opposition.
correct. I agree with you. I think it's gonna be an interesting game, and I'm going for a Orlando City win. I think Orlando wins this game 3-0. A hat trick from Duncan, the Holland of the Heartland.
Hear that, Paula? A hat trick.
Hat trick from Duncan McGuire.
She better
What are
be
you,
at
my
this
friend?
game. I need to let her know because I want to come tailgate with her. I think it's another 3 goals. Yeah, we seem to like 3 goals at home. I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to go with a 4-0.
Wow.
Yeah,
We're
and
gonna
that's big for
go.
me.
Ooh.
I don't
Yeah,
predict, but
is the first time since you
yeah,
started
I
here at
think New
LPL.
England are just. I think they're struggling. They're not. They have so much turmoil going on. I would say New England right now, the way they look is more like in the level of Montreal. They don't look at where they are in the table and think that that's the kind of level of team we're going to play. You know, they were up there, but now they're kind of struggling and drawing teams and losing to teams and, barely winning. So I think we'll be able to do a number on them and surprise them. I think we want revenge. Remember, we lost to them when we went there earlier in the season. I think Oscar remembers that. He remembers these things. The boys remember these things. I believe 4-0, and I think it's going to be definitely a Duncan goal and a Facu goal. And then I'm going to say an Ojeda goal, and then I'm going to say another Duncan goal. So 2 for Duncan. He won't get 3.
A
He'll get
brace
2.
for Duncan McGuire. Wow.
Yeah, he's back, man. He's back on fire. And we said we need him, scoring again for the playoffs. So it's great to have our striker situation. There was some worry when Kara went. Some people were concerned.
Yeah, so people
said, "We don't worry, Duncan will be back scoring soon," and there he is. So let's hope he can keep that.
There were
up.
people saying, "Hey, we have so many, I think, players on the free agent list. Why don't we sign some? Nani also was training. Remember that Nani was training with the boys. And people were like getting excited. It's like, oh my God, Danny. But anyways, I wanted to thank everyone for the show today. Anything you want to add, John, before we go?
No, I just quickly mention the Pride. It's awesome win on Monday,
Yeah, that's right.
after our pod. They beat Angel City and with an incredible goal from Leal. It was Adriana. She smashed it, top bins from miles away. Is awesome. So I invite everybody to go back and watch that one. So the Pride now, they're right on the edge, Luis. They're on 7th, and 6th is the playoffs. They're on 28 points. The team in 6th, or OL Reign, are on 28 points as well. So they've got 2 games left. They are away tomorrow at Racing Louisville, and then Sunday, October 15th, they are at home to the Houston Dash. I'll be going to that final Pride game of the season, and I'm sure you'll be there as well.
Yes,
Luis.
I'll be there. I'm
going to drag Powell out to this one to tell her to come out. I really want all the teams in the playoffs, man. We talked about that.
Same here. It'll be fantastic.
So, everybody cheer on the girls and the women, and make sure they give them that extra push needed. As well as the guys. Obviously, we're secure and we're ready for the playoffs, and let's hope that the Pride can get there too. And then that's all 3 teams, and I'll be delighted.
Anna Morehouse, goalkeeper of Orlando Pride, staying in purple. So they signed to a 2-year deal for Anna Morehouse. Fantastic goalkeeper, I will say.
And she hasn't been playing a lot too, so that's nice that she's not concerned. She's happy to stay in the squad.
And then the Pride is going for the playoff push, and to me, one of the players that it's detrimental in this is Haley McCutcheon. In my opinion, I mean, one of the best defenders that the Pride has right now, aside of Rafa. I think she's a phenomenal player, and honestly, go and support the Pride. They have now their new moniker kits and all that stuff, so you should definitely go and check out a game. That's Haley right there. And I'm happy. I'm happy that they're having a successful season, especially with Sab and Giles. In the driving seat, right? In the driving seat.
In other years, Luis, they would be in like 12th or 11th right now, and we wouldn't be talking about Pride
at all
because it would be like they're just seeing out the rest of their terrible games. But this is nice for us to be able to be focusing on them at the end of the season to try and make that playoff push and hopefully have more games after.
That's right, and I think the front office also is doing a great push to getting all these good players now that have honestly played phenomenal since they started. So I couldn't imagine how good they're going to play. Start when they do preseason. I mean, imagine that. Adriana, Rafa coming in from preseason. I think that'd they'd be beasting. So
Yeah, this squad really came together
yeah,
once
it's
Adriano joined.
exciting what's
So
happening with the Pride. And we commend everyone to go and support the
yeah,
women of Orlando Pride.
Sunday, October 15th, your last chance.
There you go. There you go. Anything else you want to add, John, before we go?
No, just follow me on Twitter. It's John Rollins OCSD if you want to see my tweets and my takes on everything. If not, I'll see you all on Saturday for another home win against New England Revolution, and Vamos Orlando, Luis.
Oh no, Vamos Orlando. You can find John right here. It's if you're watching, it's his Twitter right here. You can also follow me on my own Twitter. I have it's Pineda_ORL. Where is it? Right here.
And obviously follow the pod on Twitter. Follow us on
we're right
the
here.
Facebook page, on Instagram,
On Instagram, Google,
YouTube. If you're
we're
not
everywhere.
on there,
on
if you're
YouTube.
listening later, you can, we're usually on Monday nights. You can come watch us live and ask your questions.
Yeah,
in
Mondays.
the chat live.
Mondays at 8:30. We're live. You can ask your questions. If you are listening, thank you so much for doing so. Spread the word. Subscribe, either on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, and then on the description of the video, you're of the audio. Sorry, of the episode. You're gonna have all our social media there, and also Paola's podcast, which is called Tiro de Esquina in Spanish. It's gonna be right there. There's a link for all the channels, so make sure you subscribe. And thank you so much for everyone that's joined us in this show today, midweek. We have a big game on Saturday against New England Revolution, and Vamos Orlando. See you guys.
Vamos Orlando.
Get the 3 points. Have a wonderful day.